हो कॉन्टॅक्ट झाला त्यांच्या, मला त्याचा हे पण आला ओके म्हणून. पण आपल्या इकडले 12:30 म्हणजे त्यांच्या इकडले 1:30 वाजता रात्रीचा. अवघड परिस्थिती आहे.
त्याला एकदा 15 मिनिट अगोदर त्याला एक रील द्यावं.
हा किती वाजता?
किती वाजता? 12:30ला. रात्री 12:00
आता काय नाही एवढी गर्दी आहे, आता काही खरं नाही म्हटलं.
तयारी काढून ठेवा.
साडेदहाच होतं माझं टार्गेट, पण ते वेळेवर मग आमच्या घरी तर वेळेवर काय चहा नाही.
नंबर आले टाकले.
हो ना, ते दिले आहे ना एक, ते आलं लेटर त्याच्यावर होतं.
हो.
हो का?
2894.
हो 2894. 2894. ते लिहूनही ठेवला तो नंबर त्याचा. देशमुख मॅडम आणि पंचवीस पण काय मला ये
जोशी मॅडम ते झालं.
झालंय काय? आपल्याला सुरुवात.
Very good morning, Viva ma'am. I am here, Dr. Sangeeta.
त्याचा आवाज येत नाही. म्हणते का त्याला?
Please unmute ma'am yourself.
Okay, good morning.
Yeah, very good morning ma'am.
Good morning.
At sharp 11 a.m. we will start our session.
Okay, Dr. Sangeeta, yes, I have sent the slides. If by chance I fail to display them, then
On email ma'am?
this thing, your email.
My email. Okay.
Yeah.
नाही कोहोस्ट करू ना त्यांना आपण.
नाही, Vibha ma'am.
Yeah, Dr. Sangeeta, yes.
Can you share your PPT?
Again, okay, I will do.
We will check it, then we can continue further.
Okay. Yeah, I have sent, I think the 4 emails that you have sent, Dr. Sangeeta, I have shared.
You have screen shared, ma'am?
Yeah, this thing.
Yeah, share your screen.
Actually, in that, I am not that, actually, I have my, that also. Hmm.
Ma'am, please resend on the mail. Shivaji.
Yeah, this
Shivaji BPEd AMT. Shivaji BPEd dot AMT.
नाही.
Shivaji BPEd AMT. Please.
Actually, the mail I got Shivaji College of Physical via this thing.
Yeah, that is from my college. It is a collaborative work. So
Okay.
send it on the mail. Shivaji.
One this thing.
Okay.
Hmm.
May I text it on WhatsApp, ma'am? Mail?
Yeah. Shivaji, small or big? The capital Shivaji.
Shivaji small.
Small.
Shivaji BPEd.
Shivaji, BPEd, all small.
All small. AMT.
Yes. It has appeared. Yes. Yeah, I have sent.
Yeah, let we check it. Yeah, ma'am, got it.
Yeah.
We have to share it on our side, ma'am.
I think so. Actually, I'm not that sure like I will be able to do it because I will try.
No, ma'am. We
Hmm.
will share on our side also. Okay.
Okay.
ते झालं का? Okay.
Shall I start or Dr. Sangeeta or there is little this thing, the initial this thing?
Yes. Yeah, ma'am. There is initial things. We have
Okay.
start with Dr. Kaya, ma'am. She will
Yes.
you, and all the formalities will be completed within
Yes.
2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
पण हलके.
Very good morning to all of you. I welcome all the participants in this national workshop on research methodology. First of all, I pay my sincere tribute to Dr. Punjab Rao Deshmukh, a great visionary, the first agriculture minister and educationist of independent India. He worked for the upliftment of downtrodden, mostly in the Vidarbha region. He established the Sri Shivaji Education Society in 1932 and the present organizer of this national workshop, Sri Shivaji College of Physical Education and Sri Shivaji College of Education are the part and parcel of this Shivaji Education Society. So friends, today is the 5th day of our national workshop on research methodology in education, physical education, library science, and sports. The theme of today's session is quantitative data techniques. So friends, everybody know very well that data and data collection is the soul of research. Accurate data collection is necessary to ensure quality assurance and keep research integrity. Quantitative data is a measurable numerical data researcher collects by asking close-ended or multiple choice questions using surveys, polls, questionnaires, and other methods. So, to give more information regarding quantitative data techniques, we have invited Honorable Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am in this national workshop. So before presenting her lecture, let me introduce Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am in a brief manner. Today's our speaker is Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am. Vibha Joshi ma'am obtained her graduation from the University of Delhi and master's degree in education and sociology from Rajasthan University, Jaipur. She has obtained her doctoral degree from MS University, Vadodara. In her professional career, she has been on the Faculty of Education since 1988 and is presently Professor in Education. Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am has won the DAD Graduate Fellowship in 2000 and visited Hungary in 2001 on the fellowship of the Central European Summer University. She has also awarded UGC's junior and senior fellowships for pursuing her doctoral research. The breadth and depth of her academic and research career is very much motivational for us and very much admirable. So, myself, Dr. Vanita Kale, Professor, Sri Shivaji College of Education, request Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am to start her presentation. Dr. Vibha Joshi ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Kale, and thank you, the Shivaji Education Society institutions and the members for inviting me as one of the speakers in their 7-day national research methodology workshop. And Actually, I'm very happy even here seeing like physical education, library and information sciences, and other social science disciplines also, their education also, they are also a part of this national education workshop.
Yeah.
And even going to the brochure, this thing I like because it is open for all. It's for the students, it's for the researchers, as well as for our fellow colleagues. They are interested in just either learning something new or being participative in the national workshop in research methodology. Yes, today is the 5th day, and many topics of very much importance, like how to write a thesis in a APA format, because that while reevaluating the thesis, we come to know, like many students, they take it as a casual thing and they fail to follow the APA format in comprehensive way, because somewhere they are following, somewhere they are not following. They have cited the studies in the review of related literature chapters and even in others also, but at times we find that those studies are not given in the bibliography or references. And one more interesting topic that I was coming through is new trends in educational research, because research we see as a like medium to solve many educational problems. And yes, and there are, all problems are not universal in nature. All problems are not applicable in all classrooms, all universities, all countries, all districts. That's why action research, importance of action research is very much contextually. Like in a classroom, if a teacher is facing some problem, then they should know, they should be doing a research to try to find out the contextual problems in that classroom. And publications ethics and RMT. Publication ethics are very, very important, because one of the quality of researcher is objective and true. And like we are claiming what we have done. We cannot take others' work as our own. We can cite, we can take others' work, we have to give due credit as citation. Like this work has been done. And hypothesis testing, yes, especially the 2 days, my topic is very much related to hypothesis testing, because in all quantitative researches, they are verifiable, they are evidence based, and that's why it is the student, they should, or the researcher, it's not the students, researcher, whoever is doing any kind of quantitative research knows how to collect the data, quantitative data, and how to select the sample, and how to even test the hypothesis on the basis of the analysis of the data. And yes, Dr. Kale was very right, because the type of tool we use, the type of statistics we use, the type of sampling we do, that all those things are defining the type of quantitative data analysis we do. And today's session, yes, and I'm starting with the second slide. What is quantitative research? Because data is everywhere, whether it is a descriptive data, whether you are going through a book and it's a biography of a person, then even whatever his experiences, like biography of Mahatma Gandhi, they have given about his experiences in education, how like he came and he started the Varda experience, and the focus of the basic education. Then what was the thing like, and his in his biography, it is autobiography, he has mentioned his experiences as a person who has done this experiment. But for us as a researcher, if we wanted to take that data, we cannot take as the chapter. We have to take the points that are relevant for the research that we are doing. And in quantitative research, actually here the data we are collecting, like the number of students in a college, number of boys versus girls in a college, number of classrooms in a college, number of subjects a college is offering, number of faculty in the college, number of PhD like faculty, like there are so many like the points we can see, aspects we can see, and we can quantify them. If there are 1200 students, we can say 600 are boys and 600 are girls. Those numbers are quantified. But if we are studying an individual, like why a individual is doing better in all the subjects and a student is not able to do better in mathematics in spite of giving all the feedback, then there are questions, then we have to go beyond that. And that comes under the qualitative research, because quality we have to go deeper. And in quantitative research, it is the process of collecting and analyzing numerical data, because data we are collecting from the students, we are collecting from the parents, we are collecting from the teachers, we are collecting from the administrators, means anyone, but that data is in the form of numbers, or we can quantify them. Like in a classroom, we say if there are 40 students, we say 10 are having higher intelligence, above average, and maybe 2 or 3 they may be having below average IQ. We are not labeling them, but we may consider that maybe in slow learners category, and we try to find out more evidences to it's not labeling, to come to a conclusion that they are under that category, and we try to change our teaching learning situation so that they can take the best of the teaching learning that we are doing. We cannot expect a person, all the students, to excel in all the exams, but how to study. A person is very good in one subject or good in all the subjects, or not able to do one subject at all. Actually, how many students are good in mathematics, how many students are good in languages, how many students are good in physical education, like these numbers are possible to collect. And that is the focus of the quantitative research. As the slides is see, it's a process of collecting and analyzing data, and that data is in the form of numbers. It can be used to find patterns and averages, make predictions, test causal relationships. जैसे कि हम देखते हैं कि intelligence and motivation, like a student has a higher intelligence and scoring better in languages but not in mathematics. That may be a reason why comes under qualitative. But if we are seeing the relationship, the students have better intelligence, their performance is better in academic subjects, and maybe a student may not be showing better performance in academic subjects, but maybe excelling in creative this thing, performing arts, dance, or maybe in athletics, maybe in sports. Yeah, that is the casual, like seeing the relationship between two variables or more than two variables. And on the basis of that, one thing about quantitative research is, because generally the data is more and we are quantifying the behavior of a person, and it is generalization. We can generalize. We can say, like, if the students have good intelligence, they will be certainly excelling in their performance in the school subjects. And next slides, please. Next slide. Yeah. Generally, the methods we use for quantitative data collection. One is the sampling. Sampling is very, very important in the quantitative data, quantitative researches, because
दीपक स्टुडंट आहे दीपा नंतर
hello. Yeah, is someone wanted to ask questions?
No, no.
No, madam. No.
No, ma'am.
Okay, shall. Yeah, there are the sampling. Why sampling is important? Because quantitative researches are generalization. Matlab, like the findings we are getting for a study could be generalized for the entire population or for a bigger sample. That's why probability sampling we all know, because it is a representative of the population. And there are certain methods. Interview is one of the methods. Surveys and questionnaires, because in quantitative data, questionnaires are mostly used in collecting the data, because like questionnaires we can address to a larger sample, and questionnaires is the easiest tool to collect data. And later on we will be discussing about the types of questionnaires and observations, through observations also. And there are document reviews in quantitative data, like if you are going through the policy document, National Education Policy 68, National Policy Education Policy 1986, and today's latest education policy NEP 2020, then you will, if you are going through studying them comparatively, then you will come to know the focus of the 68 policy, and then focus, how the focus was shifted to 1986 policy, and the challenges and the barriers that we have confronted in the implementation of that policy have been taken into consideration in the new education policy 2020. And we are hoping that like when we are implementing this policy, we must be able to overcome many of the problems that we were facing in the earlier policies in implementation. And subsequently, if any aspect we may not be able to pull it to satisfactorily, then we will go for the reasons why it has not been gone, and the subsequent policies will be considering that importantly. And now the other next slides. Okay, the slides please. Yeah, there are 4 types of quantitative researches. The common one is survey or descriptive, because if somebody is, like if I'm interested in number of girl students studying in the secondary stage in the country, then number of students they are in the class 9th and 10th are like, if I start going from school to school, it is very difficult. It is taking time. But then we have data, and then we have the number of schools in each state, number of schools in each district. Those statistics are available with the Ministry of Education as well as state ministries and others. That data, going through those documents, I will come to know. And then if I wanted to know the problems they are facing in completing their studies, especially maybe in isolated areas, maybe in a rural areas, then we may be using questionnaires, because those students can read and write, and they can respond to the questions that I have asked through written questionnaires. Nowadays, questionnaires can be in any form. It could be a Google form questionnaire, because technology has helped us to use different ways to collect data. And there's a correlational studies, as well as by seeing like the relation between one and the other variables, or one with the other 2 variables, like the relationship between creativity and intelligence, to begin with, like like maybe all intelligent people may not be creative, but yeah, that may be the research question we have, or maybe all intelligent people are having high creativity. Yes, and then there are causal, like why we are giving like the students, they are going for like the tuition. See, whether it is not advisable, like the student should go to the tuition, but still they are going. Then seeing the performance of the students, they are taking tuition and their academic achievement, like the causal, and then school teaching and the tuition teaching and the performance. And then here what we do, we take the students, they are only studying in the classrooms, and others they are studying in the classroom plus the coaching, and then seeing their performance. And these causal comparative studies we can do in quasi experimental form or experimental form. Quasi-experimental forms are that, like we take the natural setting, we take the two classroom, and we have the assumptions that they are comparable. And in experimental research, we try to keep those students in a isolated conditions, and we try to control all the external variables that can affect that experimental, and then we see the result, the impact of that innovation, initiation, intervention on the students' performance or students' behavior. Next slide, please. See, when we are doing the qualitative research, there are 6 major characteristics. Actually, in all quantitative research, we use those variables, those are measurable. We cannot use the variables that we are not able to identify. And we use standardized research instruments. It is very common. Yes, even teacher-made achievement tests are used in assessing the student's performance, but generally there are, for judging the behavior, we prefer standardized research instruments because they have their reliability, validity across a larger population. And random sampling of participants. Thus, the sample respondents we are using, the best possible sampling method is a random, because here each and every respondent has equal chances of getting selected. But it is, in reality, it is not possible to go for a random sampling procedure in data collection. That's why sometimes we go for the systematic step-by-step random sampling, like if the schools we are taking, we go for the selection of the school randomly, but we take the respondents, like the available students, they are willing to respond to our questionnaires. Yeah, that randomization also changes, like it's get like changes as per the feasibility of the situation. And here we can represent our data either in the forms of tables, like the frequency table, and then graphs and figures. And the use of, this is the use of a repeatable method. And because here validation, or like we are focusing on yes or no, like we are either this, the what the findings have been found in the previous studies, whether we have strengthening that finding, or we are contradicting that finding. It is a showing, it is strengthening the generalized findings, either contrasting it with the reasons, like because this is the proof that this study has found the findings that were not in line with the findings that we have got in the earlier studies. And here we have, these studies have the ability to predict outcomes and causal relationship. And next studies. Next slide. Yes. Yes, yeah, quantitative research characteristics. Actually, there are certain characteristics that all quantitative researches have. Yes, like the standardized form, like the tools are standard, sample size is bigger. Yeah, leaving aside the experimental researches and quasi-experimental researches, sample size is more in comparison to quantitative researches, and closed-ended questions are there because quantifying closed-ended questions are easy. And we take prior studies, what the previously the studies we have done in the similar areas, we take into consideration their purpose, the methodology, and even how like the present study is going to cover the gaps that were there, or the points that previous studies have been done, and the situation they have done in the context they have done, that is entirely different than the present context. Actually, the prior studies help us to form our research, like the research we did to. And quantitative data, usually quantitative data is represented by tables, charts, graphs, or any other non-numerical form. This makes it easy to understand the data that has been collected, as well as prove the validity of the market research or the research that we intend to do. And generalization of results, because generalization of results are the one of the key attribute of quantitative research in comparison to the qualitative research. And now we will be discussing about techniques and types of studies. Next slide. Yeah, yes. Actually, the first research that we do under quantitative research is the survey research. And survey research is the most fundamental tool for the quantitative outcome research methodologies and studies. And actually here, what is surveys used to ask questions to a sample of respondents using various types, and this could be done either like administering in the face-to-face situation, or online polls, or online surveys, paper questionnaires, or even now Google form questionnaires, web intercept questionnaires. And there are two types of surveys mainly. One is the cross-sectional surveys, and another is longitudinal surveys. Cross-sectional surveys are, we are collecting the data from the students, like a group of students from one district, another group of students comparable, and students from the other district, and maybe from the other states. That is like we are taking that sample from different pockets of a larger population. And longitudinal surveys are, sorry, the spelling is wrong. Longitudinal surveys are like we have the same samples, and we are studying them over a period of time, like a student admitted in the class 1, and then class 3, and then class 4, and class like 10th. Like we are studying those samples over a period of time, and those findings of those findings are on a particular sample and for a longer period of time, and these surveys are known as longitudinal surveys. Yeah, actually next slide. Why we need tools and techniques for research? Actually, tools and techniques, they help us to study the data in numerical form. Yeah, even qualitative research also, we need tools and techniques. But in the tools that we use in quantitative data, some of the tools remain the same, but the way and the duration that we use them differs in quantitative and qualitative researches. Actually, these tools and techniques are nothing. They are tools like tests. Tools are even other tools, techniques. Yeah, they are tools and techniques. We also use interchangeably also the term. Actually, they help us to collect evidences to empirically validate the research hypothesis. Actually, in all the quantitative researches, we have the objectives and we hypothesis, and we are empirically validating or testifying the research hypothesis to come to the findings whether the finding that we are arriving at, it is based on because we have tested it against the data that we have collected. And it also depends on the objectives, because many studies, they don't have hypothesis, and if they have objectives, even the objectives of the study also use the type of tool or technique you are going to select for the data collection, and includes test and now, like, there are different types of tests that we are going to. Next slide, please. Yes, in tools and techniques, generally tools and techniques are, first is the test. They are the achievement test. And achievement tests are teacher-made tests, even they are standardized tests, because a national achievement survey done by the NCERT or state achievement surveys that they have been conducted by various states, and they have been conducting to assess the performance of the students they are coming to their schools. And tests are achievement tests. They are tests. What are tests like? Tests are instruments of assessing human behavior. Like, what they are assessing is human behavior, and they are designed to measure, like intelligence test are the common tests, like we can say we are using, or the achievement test in a achievement in mathematics. We are judging the performance of the students in computing skill or in mastery over the content in mathematics that has been taught during that period of time. And this test is a systematic procedure for comparing the behavior of two or more persons at a particular time. Educational tests are generally they are achievement tests, and achievement tests also we say they are non-reference test and criterion reference test and diagnostic test. And they are generally what we do in the class, we are comparing the achievement of the students, the performance with the average, like what is the average, and average we make the line and we say the students, they are underachiever and they are the above achiever, because there is a reference and non-reference test. And criterion, we have put a criteria that all have to achieve that mark, and we are judging the students against the set criteria. Like in when we are going for like the pilot examination, like we have the 100%, like they have to show those skills perfectly 100%. And if anyone is, because in there the criterion is mastery is 100%, not below 100%. And like all pilots, when they have to qualify their test, performance test, they have to achieve the highest or the perfect score in those skills. Whether the skill is of alertness, whether it is the skill of driving or even controlling all the panel, this thing they have to do. Yeah, because this is the criteria. And another is diagnostic test, because it is a common in school, especially in school situations, because if the student is not able to perform better or up to the level repeatedly, then the teacher is interested in knowing the reason. And knowing the reason is diagnosing, because diagnosing is a term we got from medical, and this is we try to find out the reason why a student is not able to do that. And on the basis of that, after finding the reason or the reasons, they try to give some interventions to that students in the form of either modifying the teaching learning process as per their needs and requirement, or even giving extra help in their teaching, in learning. And this is after diagnosing, giving the help, like as a doctor is diagnosing and giving the medicine so that patient gets cured. Diagnostic tests have the similar focus, like they are diagnosing the problems or the point that the student is not able to cope up, and then trying to helping them to overcome those problems. And there are certain non-verbal tests and verbal tests. Non-verbal tests are like they need not have to write like, and verbal tests they have to do like some of the tests that we are seeing, like we are writing the answers. Like there are questions and we give the answers. Those are verbal. And non-verbal is like there are achievement intelligence tests you might have seen, that where it is culture free, like you can administer those tests to anyone, like Raven's progressive matrices. Even achievement tests, when we are giving to students, the preschool students, they are not language focused. They are more of like the graphical focus or something like those comes under non-verbal. And objective and subjective. Objective is where the answers are fixed, and subjective is it is the mainly testing the expressiveness, fluency, and the vocabulary test. And here the marking varies from person to person, because a teacher can give in an essay 5 marks out of 10, and the same essay another teacher can give 7 marks. Actually, subjective is like it has a variation, scoring variation from person to person. And there are norm reference versus criterion reference test. The same thing, because we have a norm, all the students they are promoted to the next class should achieve a minimum of 40% marks. Like 40% is the norm, and the students they are not getting 40%, they are not declared as eligible to go to the next class. And criterion, yes, we set the criteria, because like in entrance examination, you are seeing like in CAT examination, students they have to come to 98, 99 percentile if they wanted admission in that particular institutions. And yeah, that way, like, because criteria is fixed, and the performance is interpreted in that. And projective versus non-projective tests, because generally the tests are focused on judging the performance of the person. Performance with respect to like English, Hindi, the school subjects. Performance maybe with respect to certain, like a driver, like if their driver is going for driving test, then his proficiency in the aspects, the behavior aspect that is needed for being a good driver. And there are certain, like the personalities, there are certain traits in human behavior that are not easily testable or quantifiable. But even then, attempts have been done to quantify those behaviors. And one is the personality of a person, because personality of a person we can we are trying to assess through projective versus non-projective test. Projective, we are quantifying or classifying that trait into 4 or 5 categories like very well behaved, very badly behaved, okay, sometimes well behaved, sometimes not behaved, mostly well behaved, mostly not well behaved. Like that way, we try to quantify that personality aspects into different classification, and we give the numbers. We give numerals or numbers to those categories, and then we try to come to the arrive at the results. And non-projective techniques are, we are giving certain things, like they don't have any fixed ideas, like because ink blot test and even some graphics, and what I perceive that graphic reflect my personality. And there are standardized versus teacher-made tests. Even in achievement test also, there are standardized tests, like the test they have been used for entrance examination. There are, and teacher-made tests are very common because every teacher is preparing tests for judging their students in the class. Only in the public examination, these tests are these tests are different, but otherwise standardized tests and teacher-made tests. Teacher-made are more popular because every teacher, because in B.Ed or every teacher training programs, this thing, preparation of achievement test is one of the main topic. That. And next slide, please. Yes, these are the tools and techniques we use. One is the questionnaires, and questionnaires, yes. Actually, questionnaire is the commonly used tools for data collection. And it is commonly used because we can administer a questionnaire on a wider sample. And only thing where we have to see is that the respondents are familiar and proficient in the language that you are giving the questionnaires to them. And it is easy also because it saves times, and we can use them, we can quantify them. And in the questionnaires, as the name suggests, it is the list of questions, because it is a list of questions, because the question may be, the answer may be in the yes or no format, or it may be in the yes, no, or don't know question, 3 points, or it may be a closed-ended questions. Because in closed-ended questions, what we do generally in the questionnaires, we have seen a questionnaire contains both types of questions, because majority of the questions are closed-ended questions with the limited options a respondent has in answering their questions. But we keep 1 or 2 questions open-ended, so that a respondent is free to express his views on that aspects that he or she fails to mention through the closed-ended questions. And another type of device is known as checklist. The checklist is a device with which we assess the knowledge of the respondents regarding the presence or absence of certain defined characteristics in an object, a phenomena, or a process. And it is also, checklist is also used to evaluate the performance, which can be divided into a series of clearly defined norms. And here a list of items pertaining to the problem being studied, and provide a space for the user to indicate the presence or absence of the characteristics or action mentioned in the item by circling yes or no, or by writing the appropriate words or numbers. They are very, even checklists are very useful in survey researches, especially for census survey. A checklist is used, like if there is a survey on number of sports persons or the regional representation of players in the country, then it is easy like to have a checklist. Because we know the number of players at the district level, state level, national level, international level, and then collecting that data, that filling that data and coming out with the data. And then this data may help us to see the regional imbalances in people's participation in sports. Or maybe then even may lead to like what is the reason why a certain district or certain state or certain geographical area so representation is much more in sports in comparison to the other geographical areas. And this and another that scale, after the checklist there is a rating scales, because behaviors cannot be quantified as we can claim we can do the performance of the students. A student has done the math sum correctly or incorrectly. And because in maths we don't give the scope whether he or she has done half the answer correctly and half incorrectly. But in many behaviors, whether punctuality, like a student is sincere, how one can do the sincerity also, like how they are going to assess students' cooperativeness, objectivity, truthfulness, cleanliness. These behaviors, if we are trying, then we go for collecting the data with the help of rating scale. Here the behavior is rated against a number of we have grading we have done. Like if we say like in the number line we have 0 to 100, in the scale we have the behavior at the 0 level to 100 level. 100 is the maximum, the perfect level, because it's the most obedient child and the most disobedient child. And then in between, and we can have those maybe 3 point, maybe 5 point, maybe 7.7 points, and that we can see. And rating scales we have 4 types. One is the numerical. Here we are giving the numbers to the grid. And graphic, we are also having rating scales having the graphics, and then we are analyzing in that. There is a standard rating scale, and there are rating by cumulative points also we are adding, because in each subjects we are doing the rating, and then we are adding the total score of a respondent, that is rating by cumulative points instead of rating against the individual questions. And forced choice ratings, because we have given a limited rating options, and a student is forced to take either this or maybe the number of that criteria, that division we have done. And there is another is attitude scale or opinionaire, because attitude scales and questionnaires look similar, but they are different, because attitude scales are designed to measure the attitude or belief of an individual towards an object, event, or a phenomenon. Therefore, the Thurston was the first person who has coined the term attitude, and he has developed the attitude scale. An attitude as the degree of positive or negative effect associated with some physical objects. And attitude scales are always in continuum, with ranges from favorableness to unfavorableness, and in between there is a neutral. And it consists of a set of statements about the particular consists of a set of statements about the particular physiological objects. And rating, because we are rating a student's behavior on a certain parameters or certain classified intervals. Yeah, that and one of the tool that we can tool or techniques we can use in both observation in and quantitative and qualitative researches are observation schedules. And observation schedules are structured and unstructured, because observation is we are observing the behavior of the respondents. It could be observing one respondent in a case study, or we may be observing behaviors or a group of respondents. Like if we want to study the play activities of preschool children, then we can study them when they are playing. And that is like we are observing their behavior. But and in some situation, if someone is interested in studying the observing the activities, educational activities, economic activities, or life skill activities of a group of people, say a tribal people, because we don't know them, like we are not aware of their activities at all, then what we do, we go there and then try to be a part of that group, because we develop rapport, and then observing their activities, being a part of the group. That's why observation is structured and unstructured, because in observation we have certain points we have selected, like what we all are going to study in that group. Like the children of 2 years, 4 years in a preschool, we are seeing what type of play they do. Maybe we have certain things like they do this thing, they do this activity, they can do this thing, this play they can play. And we have listed the points. If we are listing the points and we are observing the students, those preschoolers activities against those structured aspect that we want to study, then we call that questionnaire schedule as structured questionnaire schedule, observation school. And unstructured is we are just observing them and then finding out what they are doing and then noting down. And especially even the observations could be done participants or non-participant. Participant, we become the part of the group. Like if we are going to study the phenomenon that we are not accustomed to it, then what we do, we go to that group, being friendly with them, staying with them, living like, and then trying to study them as a part of that group. And another is non-participant, like especially when we study young children, they are not able to give answers to our questions through questionnaires. We try to observe them. And similarly, interview schedules are also equally important in quantitative researches and qualitative researches, but interview schedules are in-depth interviews are mainly done in qualitative researches, but in quantitative researches also interviews are common. They could be in the form of group interviews or individual interviews, because interviews help us to get the in-depth information or details in the aspect that we wanted to study in our respondents. And structured interviews, because we have a list of questions, we have a list of statements, against them we are taking interviews of the respondent. And semi-structured, yes, it is a mix. Some questions we have the open-ended questions, some we have the closed-ended, and we are asking information, asking their opinion in those against those questions. Unstructured, because when we don't know the group and the idea that we have taken, the topic that we have taken in the study is we are not aware of, and no previous researches are there, then we go to the group without like listing down the questions that we are going to study. We go to them, we talk to them, we discuss them, we note down points, and then coming out, and then from the interview, that data that we have collected through interview, try to get the data that is relevant for our study, and we then classify that data under the theme, under the important point that we wanted to study in our study. And another type is sociometric techniques that we all are familiar, that in a society like this, it's a so we are living in a society, and the students, they are also a part of the society, or the respondents. That's why in a classroom, we all know that some students are very talkative, very participative, very positive, very happy, and some may not be as active, may not be as participating in comparison there. But if there are students that shows a thing like they are not displaying the behavior as per the majority of the students they are staying, and how to study them. And sociogram is a technique. Here what we do, we ask the students of the classroom, and we ask like whom they like, or whom they want to play, whom they like to go for a picnic, whom they like to sit with them, whom they like to play cricket, or this, like that way we come to the students. Like some students, they are liked by majority of the students, one students liked by all, and maybe one or two students, they were not liked by anyone except them. And that's why sociogram helps us to study the students, and even then helping them to become more, not more popular, but become more sociable, more like cooperative, more to like try to inculcate those habits, or like acceptable to the other students. And sociometric matrices. And here also, this is sociometric matrices also, like we see the qualities that are desirable qualities, the qualities they are not desirable, undesirable qualities. And we try to like study the group, and try to facilitate the students so that they try to be acceptable to their peers, acceptable to their family, neighbors, society, as well as in the school. And another is guess who techniques, because in the sociometric techniques, it has been seen that see, if we are using this sociometric techniques for the preschool children, or the respondent, they are not able to write, unliterate, then what we do, we like word of mouth, like we ask those questions and take their answers, and then guess who technique, the whom they like, why they like, that way like we do these sociometric techniques. And this is the like today I have in my my this thing presentation. And now I feel if the students, or not the students, the participants, and my fellow teacher educators and colleagues from other disciplines, and if they like to discuss any other points in this regard, or ask a question, I will try to answer it. Thank you. This is the last slides I had.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a very informative information for us. Ma'am, I have a question, please.
Okay.
Please tell me some about Likert scale. About Likert scale.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Likert is a attitude scale only. I will just, yes. Actually, this here with this Likert scale, actually here the objective is the same, studying the opinion or the inclination of a respondents to a particular phenomenon or particular event. Like if we take the like opinion about the noise pollution. Noise pollution is common, and some maybe like a person in a like staying in a remote place may not like like to respond because they may not be facing that much problems. But a respondent staying in a city, like we all are facing this problem, we will be like giving the strong this thing, it should be minimized or it should be not there. And Likert is also a person who gave this thing judging, assessing the attitude of the person. And here what they have done, he has given the method of summated rating, because here like the rating is not as per question or per item that is there in the, then what they do, they like I have given the ratings on different items that were in the attitude scale, and my total number is like the total that what score I got against each statement, and it is cumulative. The summated the score is given by the Likert.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
If anybody want to ask some question,
Yeah, your interaction will help me to know whether the what I have presented was of meaning or not.
nobody wants to ask some question.
Or you may like to share your experiences in doing educational research, because most of the preferred type of research is done by researchers are quantitative in nature, because one of the thing is they are convenient, because the tools are available, they are quantifiable, and now computer is helping us to quantify the data also and coming out with the findings also, and even interpretation also. Because in some of the studies I have seen, the researcher has not done any effort even to interpreting in her or his own words, like they have just copied, printed, taken the printout and attached it. I think that also practice should be avoided, because interpretation is contextual to your study, and try to give that I think sense of belongingness to your study report, instead of just putting it in the computer and coming out and compiling it and submitting it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I request Ms. Jayashree Kharse for vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all of you who have joined online participants for this 7-day national level workshop on research methodology in physical education, sports science, and library science. Respected the principal of Sri Shivaji College of Physical Education, Dr. Anjali Thakre ma'am, and the principal of Sri Shivaji College of Education, Dr. Raut sir. It has been such an honor to be a part of the organization committee of Sri Shivaji College of Physical Education. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to esteemed guest, Professor Dr. Vibha Doshi ma'am. She is a professor in education, IGNOU, New Delhi. She had given us her precious time for this national workshop. Her lecture was quantitative data techniques. She had explained in a simple way, so it's very understanding for a beginner like me also. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your best guidance. It will be very helpful for us. Thank you so much. Uh, at the last, as well as the principal, ma'am, our teacher staff, research scholars, students, and our technical committee. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first session is over. Thank you, Vibhuti ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then our second session starts. The speaker of our second session is Dr. Dilshad Ahmed.
Good morning, madam. Yes, I'm here. Yeah,
Yeah. Welcome, sir.
thank you.
Our second session, the topic of our second session is formulation of hypothesis based on literature reviews. And the speaker of the second session is Dr. Dilshad Ahmed. The qualification of Dr. Dilshad Ahmed is BPE, MPEd, CSJ, MPhil, PhD, MS in USA, postdoctoral in Macau and Canada. Currently, he is a teaching assistant in Oregon State University, USA. He is also a research associate in University of Macau and special advisor in UNESCO ICM South Korea. I also give some information regarding our today's resource person. Dr. Dilshad Ahmed attended two of India's top ranked universities, where he earned a total of 4 degrees, including his PhD. He began his career as a physical education teacher and sports coordinator. His efforts were twice recognized with teaching awards. With an interest in advancing physical education and sports worldwide, and as a committed long life learner, he pursued international opportunities in Canada, Macau, South Korea, and the United States of America, including postdoctoral research experience. He recently pursued an MS degree and working as a teaching assistant at Oregon State University, USA. The breadth and depth of his academic preparation and career experiences allows him to seamlessly collaborate with others 45 universities spanning Asia, Latin America, Europe, North America, as well as independently lead major research initiatives aimed at advancing physical activity initiatives from both educational and public health perspectives, as well as making conceptual, methodological, and practical advancement in sports and exercise psychology. To date, he has authored and co-authored 45 journals, articles, indexed with Scopus, SCI, SSCI. Presently, his work at 45 conferences in USA, Canada, Hungary, India, Malaysia, and South Korea. Received funding from multiple institutions and organizations and appeared on Indian national television shows also. The shows on Pratidin Times, News Live, Assam Talks, Any Live, where he has discussed widely on the current status of physical education in India and chronicle his own life experiences. His efforts have been recognized with multiple awards and honors. He also believes in practicing what he preaches. Towards that end, he participated in athletics, track and field, badminton, cricket, and table tennis at the collegiate level in India. Beyond this academic work, he has participated in various youth festivals as a musician and solo vocalist also. His album Khoobsurat Si is available through YouTube. And it is a thing of more pride for us that Dilshad Ahmad sir, the today's speaker, is student of our institution, and I heartily welcome Dr. Dilshad Ahmad sir to present his lecture on the topic formation of hypothesis based on literature review. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So let me share my screen and just let me know if you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So, well, thank you very much. I extend my cordial thanks, especially to Dr. Anjali Thakre, ma'am, because she is kind enough to invite me all the times whenever any events conducted in her institute. And to be honest, I also feel a kind of full of satisfaction whenever I get an opportunity to be associated with any of her events. Well, today I was kind of very busy, to be honest. I have classes right after this, but anyway, I'll have to make it because it's for our student, for our people, and for our institute, and where people actually need a lot of information on this area. By the way, I just would like to rectify a little bit when our Deshmukh ma'am, she was actually chronicled my experiences or other thing. I just want to say this: I'm no longer working at Oregon State University right now. I'm right now working as an assistant professor in one of the universities in Saudi Arabia. Its name is Prince Mohammed bin Fahad University. Well, that's all about a little rectification what just she said a while before about me. As you can see, what I'm going to talk on today, it's formulation of hypothesis based on literature review. Well, this is something very unique, and I thought it will be a good way we can discuss this all thing. And to be honest, I'm not going to tell you what is definition of this, what is the definition of other things. I'm going to give you all information like how probably you can come up with your literature review. You can synthesize all the information and make your own piece of information for publication. So this whole bunch of information you will get from today's lecture actually. So let's go ahead quickly. Just a little interruption here. Okay, so literature review, a little description. What exactly is literature review? It's actually provided as a give of short description, and that description we make from lot of resources that could be journal articles, that could be dissertation, that could be conference proceeding, could be a book, could be a newspaper articles, kind of. It could be a range of things. Whatever you feel like it's relevant to your study, we get it and use it for our purpose. And then literature review are conducted for various reasons. As I just mentioned, it could be for review paper, for writing the introduction part, the discussion part of our paper, our thesis, to embark on new areas of research. like if you want to conduct a new kind of research, then also to give a support to our study, we cannot go ahead without saying how it is, how we are going to conduct it, and how it is related from other study, what other study got, and what we are going to do in our study, for making our research proposal. So a lot of things. So how actually conducting a literature review help us? So it basically help us determine if the proposed research is actually needed. For example, I want to conduct a research. Who will determine that that research is really needed? Or on the basis of what a committee can will give us funding, give me funding, whether the study is relevant or not relevant, or it is very situation specific. How people will determine that whether it should be funded or accepted for further study. So narrow down our problem. Another thing is narrowing down our problems. We could have a lot of things in our mind to conduct, but we'll have to come to a point, and we'll have to say, this is the point with which I want to go, I want to pursue my study. So it helps us to narrow down our problem. Generate hypothesis or question for further studies. We will identify what is the gap in the research, because unless we will review recent researches or even the past researches, we will not come to a conclusions or would be able to identify a particular gap, what is present in that area on which probably we can focus on. So that needs to be identified, that needs to be highlighted in our study. Otherwise, again, the funders may say this type of study was already previously done. Even if you want to conduct it, what is the exact reason that you want to pursue it again? So again, conducting a literature review, what it will give us if we conduct a literature review, what it exactly give us background knowledge of the field of inquiry. What we are going to pursue, it will give us background information in terms of, it will give us the fact, eminent scholars, it could be parameters of the field, the most important ideas, theories, question, hypothesis present over there, which has been highlighted, and it is going to be conducted again. And then knowledge of the methodologies common to the field. What are the methodologies has been used for pursuing this type of research before? This is something will also give us, and a feeling of the usefulness and appropriateness in various settings. And at the same time, it will give us information about, even if it is accepted, we successfully conduct it in our research, this methodology, then how probably it can be applied to other studies as well, in a more meaningful way in different setting as well, and also to identify the appropriateness of that methods in our study. Deshmukh ma'am, I believe when I'm changing my slide, you can see the changing slide as well. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So outline of review process. So this is just an outline to share with you. Like, well, this will help us to formulate a problem, because we already have gone through all the literature review, where identify the methods, what the methodology used, what was the sampling they used to conduct that methodology. So many things has been done. So it helps us to formulate a problem using all this information. And then search the literature for materials relevant to the study or subjects being explored. Evaluate the data which has been used there, what type of data they use. It's a qualitative, it's a quantitative, it is a longitudinal data, has been conducted over time, multiple times, repeatedly it has been used. So that's will also help us through, that type of information we also get through literature review. Analyze and interpret, in what terms, in what way they actually analyze the data, or whether they have missed something over there, the important information they have missed. So when we review this all stuff, we get to know this all information, even the gap you can also identify, and you can catch that gap, and then you can actually make a further investigation on that, and that format and create bibliography. So it was all remained in context to literature review. let's talk a bit about hypothesis. So again, I'm saying that in the beginning of the session, I say this, I'm not going to give you a kind of long thing, hypothesis testing, when it's become significant, null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis. No, that's not the scope of my presentation. My scope of the presentation is to give you some information so that the example which I'm going to use in my lecture, you can corroborate those information and can synthesize your own information in terms of come up with better writing, in terms of come up with better methods and whatever you feel like the range of information you are actually seeking. So, well, a hypothesis is just a prediction regarding the possible outcome of a study. It is just is your own assumption that what exactly you are going to make for the further study based on the previous literature review. And this is what you have identified, and you are saying that this is the hypothesis. Again, it needs to be scientific, and it has its own advantages as well, like forces us to think deeply and specifically about possible outcome. What will be the possible outcome if I conduct this type of study? It also enables us to make a specific prediction. What exactly come up with a specific prediction based on what the literature review have made. So that what the study you want to conduct, it should have some kind of scientific prediction what you want to make. It is not like that some witches actually afflicting some people on the other side of the mountain, and you want to conduct a study, and you say that this is the reason that I want to conduct the study. Then science will say, no, witches things are not accepted, superstitions things are not accepted in research, so we cannot give you funding to conduct this type of study. So we should know what type of prediction we are going to make out of it. That's very important, and that helps to clarify whether we are not investigating in a relationship. So what is the disadvantages of studying hypothesis include may lead to bias. Sometimes is depend on the honesty, ethical approach of the researcher, how the person is actually work and what types of ethics he possesses. Based on that, sometimes it may lead to bias, and I will say this is sometimes dangerous in the field of scientific research. In some study, it would be presumptuous to predict what finding would be. Focus on the hypothesis could relieve it to researcher for seeing other phenomena that might be important to study. And then hypotheses always come from single question. It is just to share with you. You can see a picture here, and where there a group of people actually talking, and the principal is saying that why the test scores is coming down. And then another person is saying many of this generation of students are apathetic. They just don't care about much of anything. So can you do a research? And then they do not believe that schooling will pay off them. Can you do a research based on that? No, it's a resources. We just don't have the book and other materials. We need to do an effective jobs. So see, when a group sits and they start talking, everything's actually give us a lot of information whether we can pursue a research or not. But it should be a researcher mind. It is a researcher mind which actually identify the exactness, the precise relevant information based on probably we can make an investigation. So well. Another thing is directional and non-directional hypothesis. Directional is the one in which the researcher indicates the specific direction that he or she expects will emerge in a relationship in the study. It's a very direct, okay? It could be based on literature review, personal experience, experience from others as well. Like if I'm talking with my professor and in discussion, I came up with some things and I identify a very good points when I was talking with my professor, that probably I can bring that. But again, even if it is directional, it should be very logical, and it should have that potentiality to go ahead with a very solid investigation. Another is non-directional hypothesis, in which there is no specific prediction about what direction the outcome of the study will take. Sometimes it's difficult to make a specific prediction upon a study. A study may state that it would be point to non-specific direction versus distinct possibility. So in that case, it's happened. So let's get a little more information about directional and non-directional. Here you can see that this is an individual, and then for directional and non-directional in the both way, you can see that non-directional hypothesis, like the man will look either left or right. This photo will say that person is looking this side or this side. If you look at from other side, you will feel that the person is look this side. You will see from another side, you will see that person is look other side. So it's a kind of non-directional sometime. Directional hypothesis, you can see that's will look only to right. That's directional. That's I want to go in the same direction. And then another picture, you can say that will look to the left only. Okay, it could be right, it's directional. It could be left, directional. But if we say either way, then it could be same. It's considered non-directional. So when I make hypothesis, also we go in the same direction. And in the same way, we actually come up with our own hypothesis. So, well, this is all about some bookish information, but as I promised that I'm going to give you some relevant information based on my own study. I'm going to share with you one of my published study, and based on that, we will make some further discussion, very relevant discussion. I believe it will help you for those who are newly doing their research, going to pursue their PhD study, or even any aspirant candidate whosoever want to have more information in this area. They will definitely be benefited out of my discussion, I believe. So, well, this is Taylor and Francis web page, and on Taylor and Francis web page, if you'll just write my name, MD Dilshad Ahmed, and then just click it there, and it will take you to all my studies. Even this is just first page. There's another page as well. So from this list of my study, just click at this study. So this is developing and validation of an instrument to assess quality physical education. So once you click at this, and then it will take you to a open access paper. Okay, you can see here, and if you like, you can get the whole or the full paper from there as well. And from here, please go to the page number 3, this part, and then this is the paragraphs. Today I'm going to make the entire discussion, and I'm going to make a kind of surgery, like how I wrote this paragraphs, and in what way I found actually all the sources, and then I assimilate all the sources and write this paragraph here. Okay, in what way actually we find literature review, and then we go through the literature review, and then we write our own thing from the literature review. We'll get the entire idea right now over here. Okay, just go through it. So as I said, go through my paper, go through the page number 3 of my paper, and this is the portion only today we are going to focus. So let's see what is there. So synthesizing literature review, the first thing in this paper, again, if I read that, McNeil study discusses of quality physical education in Singapore, highlights problem with the QPE development, listing difficulties of suffering, the duration of PE lesson, and the class size as constraint on the success of PE development. In China, despite the government's focus on the offering QPE in children, it is common to have 50 to 60 students in a single class. In fact, 80 students per class in the norms. In addition to a large number of students, researchers have shown a lack of adequate space and PE equipment, and time allocation problems make it difficult to improve quality. Gender inequality in PE and sports has been found in the Middle East and Strait and Asia. In Bahrain, traditional barriers and the potential disapproval, girls and participating in PE. In Taiwan, cultural biases in the lack of facilities, equipment, and resources hinder PE development. Each country has its own regulation and strategic for maintaining the PE curriculum. In India, as in other developing countries, professionals are striving to make PE a compulsory subject. So this entire thing, what I have just read, let's go through and check it. So for the first one, McNeil study, and this is the study from where I got the sources. This study if you go through this study and this abstract, okay, you will see that it's talk a lot about what I have written in the other side, in the big bold. It's saying that in Singapore, highlight problem with QPE problem development, listing difficulties with staffing and the duration of PE and the class size as constraints on the success of PE development. So this is what I wrote, and this is what is written on my paper. But where from I got this information? I got this information from this published paper published in European Physical Education Review. And it is actually, I got the information from here. You can see here, it is written that primary schools are disadvantaged by staffing issues. Now you can see in the bold I have written, it's also talking about difficulties of staffing. And then PE lessons are both inadequate in number and duration to achieve desired outcome of the PE syllabus. Okay, so whatever I felt is it's relevant to my study, I got the information from this study. But another one more things I would like to say, because I cannot show you the full paper. This is not the correct way, just you go through the abstract. Okay, please always prefer the whole paper before you make your own literature review, your own source, because it is just in presentation, it's not a classroom. So I'm just showing you that what I wrote in my paper, it is kindly very much connected with what I got from this paper. This is the source from where I actually developed my my source, and also I wrote it there, McNeil's study. Okay, so this is one review, and then let's go to the other review. This is another review in China. Again, it is written on my paper. In China, despite government focus on offering QPE to children, it is common to have 50 to 60 students in a class, in a single class. Unfortunately, I could not got the all information because it's a China's website. When I click it, it did not come up. At that time, actually, I was working in China, so I had that access to open this up. So, but anyway, if somehow you can retrieve this paper, if you go through this, you will get to see the same information over there, and you can also see that from a whole bunch of information, how I actually make or I use that information for my study, okay, in my own words, and then I have cited it there, that where from I got this information. So this is another study. So if you go through the bold one, the gender inequality in PE and sports has been found in the Middle East and Asia. In Asia, in Bahrain, traditional barriers and parental disapproval discourage girls from participating in PE. So this all bunch of information I got from this study. That study is, you can see here, I have provided the reference and also the abstract, the whole abstract here. So in this whole abstract, if you read this information and if you see the point number 2, okay, it's saying that what are the children for physical education in school, resources, social stratification, gender disability, cultural and regional diversity. The same, this all bunch of information I have resynthesized, I have making my own words, and I have presented the way I have provided in black bold. You can see it, and the same information is there in my published paper. Okay. So this is another piece of information. The bold black is my own thing, what I wrote in my paper, and I got this entire information from this page. Okay, where you can see that the focus of white paper is to analyze, rationalize, and provide a grounded reasonings to adopt leading practices, practices in developing a sports curriculum framework, which is substantiated by government and in turn adopted, executed, and monitored at school level. And you can see this silent features has been provided here. So going through this entire draft, I came up with the information which I have given here in the blackboard. This is my own writing which I have provided in my paper. And how I have written this: each country has its own regulation and strategies for maintaining the PE curriculum in India. This is called connecting sentence. After this connecting sentence, I came to the main point is that in India, as other developing countries, professionals are striving to make PE as a compulsory subject. Okay, and below I have just given the full reference. Well, so now what we have understood from here, we have understood that this finding which I have come up with, these findings I have written here again, like, well, there is McNeil's study 2008, and then Ken Hardman study, there is one here, okay. So this study, what is saying that McNeil study is talking about qualified professional class size, curriculum time, major constraint in maintaining QP. Hardman study is talking about curriculum design, status of PE in primary and secondary, instructional time allocation. This entire bunch of information I got from different studies. So that's how I summarize this in my study. Now, from this all information, now I'm going to find out what is the gap in the study. So the gap which I identified in my study, in my published study, is that you can see here. So it's talked that these studies provide some insight into the background and status of PE, but that's my gap come in, okay? But no attempts have been made to determine the actual concern of professional perception and satisfaction with the quality issues of PE. So that's what I came from this study, and I came up with my own study, and I said this is what I want to pursue now. So this both study talk the same thing, but the Ken Hardman study is talk about the only information that's Hardman study provided are mean, standard deviation, and frequencies. So sometimes mean, standard deviation, frequencies is not enough to get a lot of information. We sometimes need to go through a lot of other statistical analysis, kind of strong, rigorous information we need. It could be factor analysis, it could be confirmatory factor analysis, it could be multidimensional modeling, it could be whatever, could be clusters, so many, whatever you feel like, for your aim, purpose, and hypothesis. And then this is what I came up with. Instead of current, and in the red one, I said that this study talked about only mean, standard deviation, and frequency instead of the current status of PE assessed through a validated questionnaire. They did not use any validated questionnaires to measure this all stuff. And that's the problem came in. And then I said, a valid and reliable measures of perception of QPE may help foster a discussion of whether QPE has been achieved in school of various countries. That's my study I came up with from a literature review. So now what we have understood from here, the first thing we understood that I take an example of my published research, and I have gone through one paragraphs, and I just mentioned like how I developed that paragraph, from what are the sources from where I got all this information, and I developed my own writing there, and then how I identified the gap in the research and how I pursued my own thing over there. So that's the all study. Therefore, I'm saying PE professionals working at schools, primary and secondary, and universities from Asia are invited to study. Now, again, the questions came in why I decided the PE only PE professionals working at the primary to secondary level in universities, because again, it's very specific to my study and I had to give a rationale. That's why I am going to conduct my study only on professionals who working in 3 different sectors rather than any other general population, because they have qualifications, they are more acknowledged what is going in the field, they are also acknowledged with the policies in their own cities, country, and then based on that I provided a rationale. If I invite these people to my study and I get if I garner their responses for data collection, probably it will have tremendous potentiality to come up with a result that could be generalized across Asian cities. That's what I have actually incorporated the information in my study. And then here you can see when this rationale has been developed, I'm saying here, consequently, the research question is as follows. This is the main, I said that formulation of hypothesis based on literature review. So that's what I have now connecting how the entire thing going through this entire bulk of information now how I've come to the end point of my work. Like consequently, the research question is as follows: how to assess QP in Asian school based on professional perception? What are the factors that underpin a professional perception of QPE? Therefore, in its overcoming design, the study aims to develop a valid, reliable tool to take stock of what has been achieved and how to examine and to examine how professionals perceive the quality of PE in a school setting. And another, the study investigated how QPE is understood and practiced by professionals, developing a framework for assessing the QP in schools. This all things actually I came about from this gap and from this entire rationales which I have just shared with you. So, well, everybody, that's all about like how to develop something going through different literature review, identify your the research gap, and then come up with your own writing, and then you can eventually design your own topic. So, what we have learned from this entire thing, one thing, how to write literature review, formulate a problem, searching, refine your topic, analyze, construct review, research tips and ref works and note. Tips on formulating a problem is select a topic you are interested. That's my general advice to everybody. Just find out your topic. Okay, don't think that I have a questionnaire, let's do a study. I have an instrument, let's do a study. I have something, let's do a study. No, please come with an original situation-based study, a problem based on which you can actually conduct a study. And then you will think about whether it is convenient, whether I have adequate amount of fundings to go ahead with that. That's the different thing. But your interest should be first in place, and then other things will come as a secondary. And then you will think about whether it will be convenient to pursue it or not. Choose a topic with a feasible focus. Not go through a very big things like you want to go to moon and want to see if it is possible to conduct some physical activity with those astronauts or whosoever. That's impossible sometime. Not impossible. Maybe in future it could be, but at this time probably it will be impossible. Am I right? So get help. Get it early and often. Okay. And then literature review. Perform a preliminary research of the literature. Search. Let it see what other work in the area of interest has already been published. If somebody has already published this type of work, if they have published something, what they have actually published, the way I just mentioned, I made a decision in my study. Okay, go through the recent journals, good journals, the journals where they accept very good writing, good methodology. So just make your own decision in finding that. Make sure that don't go through the journals which are not very good indexing or kind of, you can understand those doesn't have good reputation. Because when we follow a journal, we are actually going through its research. We're investing our time reading someone's article, and if you are not getting good and reliable information from them, then it is just wasting of time. So make sure that whenever you prefer to go through any journal, make sure that you're going through a very reputed journal from where, or whenever you will read something from there, it will have some value, and that value you can add to your study as well. Okay, develop a list of subjects heading that's related to the theme of your interest, and based on that you just keep on write, just make a note of all those things. Okay, that's what you exactly want to pursue, and how probably you can go ahead from that point of the list. Okay, so search across multiple databases. Don't just rely on one database. If you want to see if that type of methodology has been incorporated in some other study, some established tool has been used to carry out that methodology, that is pivotal, and then read the literature throughout the search process. Your search would help refine the topic and objectives with which you want to come up with. That will be helpful. How to read the material? Read the big picture. Please read the big picture first at the big level. What has been happened? For example, like you have literature review from two places. One is UNESCO and then from India or some other place. So come up with the UNESCO thing first, and then come to the India's thing, and then go to the lower level again. So in that way, we'll have to make the hierarchical in writing as well, what we want to write first, and then we subsequently going to come down. You should know the thing, scheme the document, identify major concept. Okay, scheme the document, try to scheme in a sense like what you want to put, what is very specific to the things, what is redundant things needs to be go out. Okay, your writing skill, everything should reflect. That's how prominent researcher you are. That needs to be reflect from your study. After you have a broad understanding of the 10 to 15 papers, you can start to see the pattern. I mean, at least it's suggested, like according to Carroll 2006, it's saying that at least we should go through 10 to 15 studies has been conducted in the same area to get an understanding what has been done, in the past 1, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Sometimes people take a long time to conduct the studies. So once you will start searching this literature, you will definitely come to know that what is missing there and what has been done in the couple of years. Okay, so that is very important. Narrow your focus. Again, I'm saying it's very important to narrow your focus. Start from the new material to the old, what I have just mentioned. Okay, as you read and become more informed on your topic, you probably can contribute more to your study. That is very important. Think, analyze to weed out. Think, analyze, and what we need to weed out from there. Arrange to spend some review time with experienced researcher. That's a very good thing. Like whenever you draft, okay, something, try to share with other people, like what they are going to tell on your research, whether it has something needs to be done or something needs to be go out. I will say again, the paper which I have just shared, based on which I made my presentation today, go through it. I have given a very rigorous methodological approach over there, from where you'll get a lot of information, like when I constructed my question of what type of approach I have implemented over there. And it was super rigorous, to be honest. I used factor analysis, exploratory factor analysis, then confirmatory factor analysis with maximum likelihood methods, and then I use again test retest method in 2 different countries, in developing country and a developed country, and then I again use kind of a very reliability process. So just go through it and you can see it is so refined, and the methods we use is very very solid and concrete. So read the material closer, read the abstract, read the introduction, read methods with a close, critical eye, okay, evaluate result, take discussion with a grain of salt, okay, and then analyze the literature. Purpose of the study will come up synopsis of content, research design, methods used in the study, brief, review of the findings. These all things you need to refine it at the end. And then that's all about for today's my presentation. And I believe that you got some good information out of this, and it will really help you in terms of if you feel like to come up with your own study, your own idea. So just follow the process. I'm 100% sure you will definitely come with a very prominent topic, and whatever you will write there, it will be totally solid and concrete. So thank you very much, everyone. Once again, thanks for giving me an opportunity to come here and share with you all this important discussion. And I believe you got something from out of my discussion, and you're most welcome to ask me if you have any question. I'll try my best to respond to you. Thank you very much. I'm here for a few more minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dilshad sir.
Thank you
If
very much.
anybody want to ask some question, please proceed. Yes, nobody wants to ask some question. all participants are satisfied by your informative speech. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Dr. Dilshad.
Thank you very
I-
much. And even if anybody have any question later as well, they are most welcome to write to me to my personal email. Okay, I'll try my best to um, respond to them. Okay, and there's absolutely no problem with that.
I invite Ms. Jayashree Khase for vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon, all of you. On behalf of all students and staff, I'm glad to be here to express my vote of thanks. A special thanks to our guest, Dr. Dilshad sir, for accepting our invitation and for being here with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Your topic was a formality of hypothesis based on literature review. He has given a best lecture for his topic. On his topic, he has explained literature review are conductive for various reasons, outline and reviews, advantages and disadvantages of review, and directional and non-directional hypotheses, how to write review of literature, tips on formulating problem. Thank you so much, sir. Your good, very nice lecture. It will be very helpful for us. At the last, thank you so much, Dr. Dilshad sir, Dr. Vinita Kale ma'am, Dr. Sangeeta ma'am, our technical committee, our principal ma'am, and our who had joined here, online students, research scholars, and thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you very much once again. Okay, once again to your entire team for this fabulous job, as well as to Dr. Anjali Thakre for her kind invitation. And I wish the same thing will go on in the future as well. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Meeting you all again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much.